Hello, Meg here, and I am your Monday substitute host here on the Pagan Perspective. So, this week's topic is how do you approach the topic of your practice with someone new while dating or with children? So, this topic is actually pretty easy enough for me because I approach all three situations pretty much in the same way, and it is in that honesty. Honesty is key. If someone is asking you a question, it's because they have some sort of interest in regards to you in that on that subject. And so when someone is asking me specifically about my practice and my spirituality, I take that in as they kind of felt something, they were kind of drawn to me in a way that they knew that they could get an answer different from what they're hearing from everyone else, and perhaps learn something new or get some information that they themselves need on their journey, on their path in life. And so it's all about that expansion of humanity, and that we are all here to learn from each other. And so just the simplest little, hey, what do you believe in? For me, that's a door wide open for me to share these things with someone else, and for them to broaden their mind and their horizons, and hopefully expand in their own way on their path. So honesty is key. So when approaching the topic with someone new, I try to first read the person, try to understand where this question is coming from. Is it a curiosity thing? Is it because they're just a studious person? Is it because they kind of are unsure about me? Sometimes it could be that as well. So they just get this kind of feeling like, oh, she's a little different. And from there, I choose my tone, my language, the vocabulary that I use to get my point of view across. As then with while dating, for me, when I'm dating someone, I am even more so honest because I don't want to waste my time. So when I have someone in front of me and they're asking me these questions, I give them the answers. And right away I know that if they can't accept it, then they can't accept me, and we don't need to be wasting any more time together. Uh, just my point of view on that. And then for children, I find children are the easiest to explain spirituality to because they are so open-minded and they still have this connection with the beyond that they're just like, oh yeah, okay. For them, everything makes sense. It's wonderland for them, and so I find that the topic is much easier with children when approached. Now, of course, with children, I don't try to explain the expansion of humanity and the function of the cosmos and energy. What does that mean, and how do I align myself with the planet? I don't go that far, of course, but I just explain that, with nature and the seasons and the cycles and so on and so forth. And they get it. They really do get it. And what's more is they love the part where we have all these different holidays all the time. That's for them, that's the coolest part of the whole thing. So that's very easy. So I kind of give the same broad general answer to this question with whomever is in front of me. Just because that's the way to be honest. And this is who I am. And so there it is. Take it or not. Take it or leave it. So again, I try to read the person in front of me, and from there I choose my tone and my language, as my body language as well as my verbal language. And I just answer. Now here's the thing. I personally, because of the path that I'm on in my practice, we are not keen on labels and putting ourselves in boxes, because we are for the expansion of humanity. And in order to expand, you have to be free. You have to be liberated. And putting labels on us, I'm just going to take this off because it's getting really hot in here. Putting on labels and putting ourselves in these boxes, such as I'm a witch, or I'm a pagan, or I'm this sort of pagan, or I'm this sort of witch, or so on and so forth. You're squeezing yourself tighter and tighter into these boxes, and you're not free anymore. You're not liberated. And so it's going to be even harder for you to sell yourself as someone open to the cosmos and free and here for human expansion. So I personally do not refer to myself by any label. I think once or twice I did say I was a witch, but it's because it came up later in the conversation. After explaining excuse me, after explaining in general what it is that I believe and what it is and what my practice is, the question came up after, like, oh, are you a witch? And at that time, I accept, and I take on the label of witch. I say, well, yes, I am in that, da 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 da. And so, but it's not the first thing that I say to someone. You know, if someone says, well, what do you believe in? What is your practice? I don't say, I'm a witch. It's not the first thing I go to. Just because for me, these labels are very heavy to carry around sometimes, and they kind of close the conversation in, because the person in front of you is going to have their own idea of what a witch is. And they're going to automatically put that on you as soon as you say that you're a witch. And it's going to be harder to try to get your point of view across. So I stay broad in general. I explain clearly and precisely what it is with the energies and the cosmos and human expansion. And then from there, if they want more detail, or if they're looking for some sort of label or box to put me in, we can go from there together. And I could throw some questions their way too, to kind of keep the conversation going. And that way I can learn something about that person as well, because that's what we're here for. We're here to learn from each other. And so I don't want the conversation to be one-sided either. It's not an interview. I want it to be a conversation. So we keep it going. And that's the same for anyone that's new that's asking me this question, or someone that I am dating as well. And I think it's very important when dating someone, because the intentions of this relationship, if you will, are different from than just someone that you've just met and are talking. And so it's much more important, because you're putting your time and effort into this person, in getting to know this person, and hoping they get to know you, so that you can see whether or not you're going to be a couple, or if you're going to be together for a while, or, you know, where's this relationship going? And it's very important that they know who you are. And with that said, it's even more important that you know who you are. Because if you're going to use labels in the end, if you want to start the conversation by saying, I'm a witch, or I'm a neo-pagan, you have to know yourself to use those labels. Because if you yourself have doubts behind that label, you're not going to be able to really sell yourself to the person in front of you. Or sell your ideas, I mean. And I'm not saying when I share what my practice is and whatnot, I'm not expecting the person in front of me to fully accept it. I almost expect them to kind of dismiss it, in a sense. But if the person is intelligent enough, they'll hold in on the information, because it's only going to make them smarter anyway, or make them more, make us more open and diverse and understanding of each other, by listening to the person and keeping that information in you, whether you want to believe it or not, if you follow me on that. But yes, so going back, you have to fully assume. Assume is take on whatever label or title or box you're putting yourself in, or giving to yourself, or putting yourself in, because if you don't, then you don't even know who you are. Really. And if you don't know who you are, you cannot answer this question. If you are unsure, and you know that you're unsure, and you accept that you are unsure and that you are still searching, then that's your answer. You say, I'm still searching. For now, I believe that, da 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 da, but maybe, da 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 da, I'm still searching. And that's perfectly okay. And I have far more respect for someone who is able to say, I don't know. This is where I am now, but maybe I won't be there tomorrow. I have more respect for that than for someone who's like, I am such and such, such and such, such and such, and it's like that. Point. Point in French is period. Sorry. But you can still sense behind that they're not so sure about that. Because when you ask questions on more detail, like, oh, you're a witch, okay, what sort of witch are you? What makes you a witch? And then they're like, then you know that they just put that title on themselves, because they're like, well, that's the way it is, or I like the sound of it, or once I lit a candle, you know, something like that. So just be sure that if you do decide to use labels and titles and put yourself in a box, know it fully, know yourself fully, and be sure that it's the one for you. That way, when other questions are thrown at you, you can answer them very naturally and freely, and it's a part of you. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't have much more to say on that. I think just about every one of my videos so far at the end, it's just the know yourself kind of thing. Just be honest, really be honest. Look to communicate, not to interview, but to communicate. Listen not to respond or react, but to hear and to learn and to know and to act rather than react. It's very important. So yeah. Until next time, safe journeys to you all.